Let's talk about state diagrams. State diagrams show how a system state changes, usually based on responses to external events. One thing that I found interesting in Fowler's description of state machines was this recommendation, that state machine diagrams should be drawn for a single class to represent the lifetime behavior of a single object. Now, I think state machines work in a variety of circumstances, but here Fowler is suggesting that they're perhaps most effective at the object level of granularity. Okay, here's a simple state machine diagram for an adventure game in a Gothic castle. I think Fowler was getting a little bored with the traditional state diagram examples at this point in the book. Anyway, the system begins in the wait state. Let's say we've just entered a small room in a Gothic castle. At this point, we can only do one thing to change the state of the system. We have to remove the candle from its holder. The candle remove text is called the trigger. It triggers the transition from one state to another. So we take the candle from its holder and nothing happens. That's because this trigger has a guard. The guard appears in square brackets after the trigger. It says door closed, meaning that the door must be closed before the trigger can have its effect. So let's put the candle back, close the door, and now try to remove the candle again. And this time, a lock is revealed, and we transition to the lock state. The portion of the text after the / is called the action. In this case, the action is reveal lock. In the lock state, there are two possible ways to transition to another state. Let's look at the safest way first. Following the upwards arrow, we see that if we turn the key when the candle is back in the holder, the safe is open and we transition to the open state. Now to get back to the wait state, we just have to close the safe. On the other hand, if we were in the lock state and we were unfortunate enough to turn the key before we put the candle back, the killer rabbit would have been released. And assuming that we didn't have access to the holy hand grenade, we would be in big, big trouble. States don't have to be simple names. Internal activities can occur during any given state. Placing the event trigger, guard, and action inside the state box itself means that the activities occur, but they don't put the system in a different state. In this example, if you type a character, the system handles the character and remains in the typing state. This example also shows two special activities, entry and exit. The entry activity, highlight all, occurs whenever the system enters this state, and the exit activity, update field, occurs whenever the system leaves this state. Entry and exit states do not apply when an internal activity occurs. That's the difference between writing an internal activity and writing the activity as a self-transition, where you have the arrow going out and coming back to the same state. A do activity is an activity that occurs during a particular state. When the do activity completes, the transition that is not labeled is taken. In this example, the searching state searches for new hardware. When the new hardware is found, the system transitions into the state display new hardware window.